Hello, welcome back to More Fun Fixing It. Another slightly different episode for you today. This one is to do with C64 keyboards and specifically how you make them work again if some of the keys aren't responding as you would like. If they're broken. Oh. Now, in some of my recent episodes, I fixed some Commodore 64 cases. All 5 of these cases have been brought back from the dead with broken screw posts and case clips all put back together exactly how they're supposed to be. All as good as new. This one's not exactly new looking though. It's got a bit of a suntan. Someone bleached it. Now all of them are missing their keyboards. I've got those over here. Okay, so those 5 cases have somehow spawned 6 keyboards. And I have no idea if any of these work properly or if any of the keys are missing. So what we're going to do first of all is test them and find out exactly which ones need some work, and then we're going to open them. Now to open them, you have to remove a million screws. These tiny little brass screws that are the bane of my life and take forever to get in and out. Which brings me to the sponsor of this video. WORKPRO actually reached out to me and offered to send me a powered screwdriver. And I've been after something like this for a while, and I quite like the look of this one. So I said, yeah, sure, let's have a look at your screwdriver and I'll use it in one of my videos. It's apparently a 3.7 volt electric precision screwdriver, and it has 175 RPM and a 350 milliamp battery. I'm assuming that's what that means. So I think this will be super useful for fixing keyboards. Don't think it'll replace completely my use of other screwdrivers because sometimes you need to reach into deep holes. I'll give you an example. Something like this ZX Spectrum Plus 2 Grey is, I'm not going to be able to get that into that hole there to release that screw. So you're still going to need your standard screwdrivers, but maybe there's an extension bit you could get for this. So anyway, we'll put that to one side for a minute and we'll have a closer look at that later on in the video. Put it in the right way, Lee. Right, I'll get these all off the bench and I'll bring up a test machine, connect it up, and then we'll have a look at what's going on in with these keyboards. Here's my bench machine, my test machine, which bizarrely doesn't have a keyboard as well. That's probably where that extra keyboard came from. So yeah, I need to put a keyboard back in here. I'm glad I realised that. Definitely going to be stealing the best one for myself. So I'm assuming some of these will just work, especially the one that came straight out of this machine. And we won't have to worry too much about fixing all of them. Right, so that one has passed. I've put in the Kung Fu Flash and with a keyboard testing program. I don't know where I got this from. I'll try and leave a link in the description. CRL or something like that. Anyway, that gives me a visual indication of all of the keys. The restore key is a weird one. It doesn't work in the same way as the other keys, so I'm not worried about that one not working. But that one's working, so that's one down. That's a good one. Number 2. Oh. Let me just pop this cartridge out because sometimes the Spacebar. Yeah, the Spacebar on this one. See, every other key on this works, but the Spacebar is flaky. If you have to give it a really good press, if I was just typing naturally, I'm not getting spaces. Okay, so this one needs to be looked at and opened. Number 2, spacebar. Oh yeah, I've got a feeling this one might be a problem. Look at that. Although that spacebar is actually working well. Just put the cartridge in. This one's working flawlessly. That just needs a clean. Okay, that's another one in the good pile. And it's got the VIC-20 F keys as well. So that was number 3. This is number 4. It's very grubby. Okay, another winner. This one's okay. Hopefully we do find some that need fixing. I've got 2 left, but I have got some other machines that are untested, so I could borrow those if I do find that all of these are working. This has got a nice yellow patina to the keys. Oh, that works, but it's unreliable, that one. So maybe this one needs to be checked as well. This is a nice feeling keyboard. Yeah, clear home key is sticky. Yeah, some of the keys need... This is going to need a clean, this one. I predict that the space bar might be a problem. Yeah, they just need a good press. And as we get lower down, there's more of them. Yeah, space bar, even if I press... Oh, yeah, I got it to press eventually, but that's not good enough. This needs cleaning. Put that in the cleaning pile. Last one. Just generally grubby. Oh, should have started with this one. Similar story with this one. If I really mash down on the key, I can get it to work. But yeah, that needs a good clean. So this one probably be number 3. Okay, so I've got these 3 keyboards. This one just needs the spacebar sorting out. This one, a general clean, and this one is in a very bad way. So we'll do this one last. Right, number 1 of these. First thing to do is to remove the wires from the shift lock button. Just hit it with something you can, grip it with something you can actually grip hold of. A smooth pair of tweezers will actually just slide along the wire, so you want something with a little bit of a grip to it. And then heat up the solder and just pull them through. Now, this is the point where I would normally start just tediously taking screws out until I got to the last one. But now I've got my new WORKPRO electric screwdriver. I can find a nice bit that fits these perfectly. And that one does. What is that? The Phillips number 1. This one. Oh, it might be that one. It's either a 0 or a number 1. But you get on this screwdriver, you get everything on here. So we've got 4 Phillips, different size Phillips here, from 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and number 1, if you can understand that. 5 slot heads, and we've got some star bits here. Some of them are security ones with the hole in the end. Some of them are solid. So T3 and T5H. And on the other side, we've got all sorts of weird and wonderful things. So we've got some tri-wing bits up here, some star bits up here, some triangles, some squares, some Allen keys, the hex bolts. This weird and wonderful thing, which is a cross with a point in the middle. Just a prodder. I don't know if that's just for opening up SIM card slots. And that security bit there as well. And they're all really, really nicely held in with these magnets. So these aren't going to just fall out. It's a clever thing. It's nice and neat as well. Other tools that I've got, the bits are in boxes, and it's nice to have it in there and easily accessible. Now, the first time I took this out, I did find this really difficult to get out. When that was wedged right in there, I couldn't get my finger under here. I think WORKPRO, maybe you could just take a little bit of extra plastic out of this little cutout here so you can get your finger underneath it. But once it's been in and out a few times, it actually comes out a lot easier. But that's how it comes out. Oops. And then this bit just slides into its case and then clicks in. I have found that if I put this down too heavily, it just pops out by itself, but that's fine. Now, the only negative thing I could say about this, and I don't want to be negative for the sake of it, but that label is triggering me. If I hold that straight, you can see, oh, it's not been put on straight. I might have to just take that off. But we've got, yeah, that's clockwise and anti-clockwise. That's going to take, I'm not sure how to hold this because I want to hold it like a screwdriver, but you need your fingers up here. So I think it's going to be just like a claw grip like this. I'm not sure which bit to use. I'm going to go for the bigger one. So we want the top button for anti-clockwise. This is my first go using this. Oh yes, what a beautiful action. Now it's not magnetic at all. There's no magnetism there, and I find that is a very important thing for me to have with any screwdriver. But there's a magnet here, or magnetizer and demagnetizer here, but I don't know how to use it. So I'm going to have to just go and quickly look that up. Yeah, I'm a little bit confused on how this works actually, because normally, I wonder if that's the magnet there. Because you're supposed to just sweep the screwdriver bit across a magnet, but it feels like the magnet's inside here, and I can't do that. I'm not sure what this is about, why that's got a hole like that. So that's slightly confusing. Also, you've got some spudgers in here. That's nice and handy to have those to hand as well. I'll probably forget they're there altogether. But for now, I'm just going to use a normal magnet. Like that, and hopefully, yeah, that's now quite magnetic. I don't know if that's going to stay magnetic once it's in there. Yeah, it does. Okay, so let's get all of these screws out. Oh, this is just so much easier. Now there's 5 screws left in here. I like to leave these 2 outside ones till last so that the whole thing's supported. But these ones are under the tape. And the best way I've found to deal with these is to just plunge the screwdriver into them through the tape. And then it will unscrew through the tape, leaving a nice neat hole. Like that. One more in the middle. And then I've got these last 2 on the outside. I'll do the same with those. And there's no need, nothing's going to fall out of this. All of these are held in by the keycaps on the other side. And look at this, we've got, this is a gold contact keyboard. And there's a couple of things we need to do whilst we're in here. One is to clean all of these contacts, and the other is just to make sure that all of these solder joints here are not cracked, and they actually look really good. And then to clean all of these pads as well. Okay, before I get into cleaning that, it's a screw. I just want to show you this one. This is a parts board, a parts keyboard. There's one post there, it's been glued and ruined, so this isn't really a viable one to bring back. But it's handy for things like if I need a key switch, or if I need any of these posts, or I do have to be careful with this one because the posts are not held in. So I'm just going to grab one of these posts here, and the same as those ones in there, but I'm going to do something a bit destructive with it, and I don't want to do it to one of those ones. Oh, my first go of putting a screw back in with this. Okay, it's got quite a lot of torque, so I don't want to hold on to it, putting these tiny screws in here, because I reckon it would rip them if I let it go. I wonder if it does. No, the torque is actually perfect. That's not going to rip them. Brilliant. Okay, so we've got this piece on here that wraps around, and that contains the graphite impregnated pad. And I'm just going to separate this from the bit underneath if I can. No, I'm not. I don't think I can. I think it's all one piece. Right, I'm just going to move things around because I want to show you a little experiment. Okay, so what I've got here, I've got the test program running. I've reconnected the keyboard to the C64, and I've got this little pad here that I've stripped out of that spare keyboard, and I'm just tapping it against the spacebar down here. Now, I have heard different stories about how these are made. Some of them have a coating of graphite or something, rubberized graphite, that can be rubbed off. I think that these are actually impregnated all the way through. Now, the problem that I'm addressing here is that some people say that you can't clean these too aggressively, that you will lose some of the conductivity or the resistance going through there. So I am going to actually, first of all, I'm going to hit this with a piece of P240 sandpaper. I'm going to actually rub it. You can see there is quite a lot of material coming off of this. And I want to know if that still works. So when I press the spacebar now, it still works. This stuff is impregnated all the way through. So I'm going to take it one step further in the interest of science and my sadistic tendencies. I'm going to actually snip off. There's two little like lumps on each side of this that form the connector. I'm going to snip those right off with my flush cutters. They've gone. Well, that one's gone. Now that one's gone all together. And I'm going to rub that again on the sandpaper. So that everything is gone from the middle there as well. Does that still conduct? Over here on the spacebar, yes, absolutely perfectly. Working better than ever. That's ruined, but now I know that that isn't, that being a bit more abrasive on cleaning those is not going to damage them in any way. Quite the opposite. I can show you how I clean these. Right, but before we do that, let's clean this this circuit board part first. Some of these do have graphite pads. These are the better ones, the ones with the gold pads. Some of them have graphite pads, and the graphite pads are delicate and can be rubbed off. So you have to be aware of that. If they've got black pads, I would recommend you use a piece of paper and just like 1 or 2 swipes across each pad and then leave it. Don't do any more to it. Don't use isopropyl alcohol on it, and don't use anything more abrasive than paper. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is just spray this with IPA and then go over all of these contacts with a magic eraser nano sponge thing. These are gold contacts. You don't want to use anything too abrasive on these. Nano sponge is just probably a step up from paper. Maybe similar to paper actually in abrasiveness. But there is some corrosion. There is not corrosion. There's some build-up of foreign bodies on each of these. And I can see that they are all uniformly golden now rather than not looking quite as pristine. They now look absolutely perfect. And I'm just going to give it a spray with contact cleaner, and then I'll wipe off with a clean cloth. That should protect it in the future from further corrosion. I mean, gold doesn't corrode, but right, that's done. Now all of these need to be cleaned, and again I'm going to use my nano sponges and isopropyl alcohol, and I'll push up on each one of these and give them a good clean. The only downside of these nano sponges is they do start to break up a bit. You can use a cotton bud as just as good at this. Now this keyboard had no problems on all of the keys apart from the spacebar, but I'm just doing this for thoroughness and completeness. And it's a good excuse to use my new screwdriver. Perfect. Now I can just inspect the solder joints, and they all look absolutely perfect. The tape on the back protects them pretty well from being cracked by constant movement, so they'll be probably mostly okay. I've not found one so far, but I always keep checking just in case I find one. Right, now I've got a billion screws to put back in. I'm just going to put 2 in for now. Now the best way to put in screws when you're putting them back in is to reverse them first. I'm going to do that manually until they click, and then press the button. Okay, this is just going to be something I'm going to have to get used to. It's a comfortable thing to do, and is a lot less effort than your traditional screwdrivers. Look at that, I did lose one. They're all ready to be screwed back in, so let's... This bit fits so well into the end of these that it's actually a bit tricky to get the screwdriver back out of the screw. It wants to stay in there. Oh, this is so much easier. Oh, one left. I'm impressed. That made that light work. Now, normally if I've got 3 of these, if I've got 1 of these to fix, I'll avoid doing it because it's an absolute pain to put these back together. And to take them apart. There's just so many screws, and they're so tiny and fiddly. Okay, last thing to do on this is to remelt those and put those wires back in. Again with the grippy ones. I used to remove the solder and then resolder them, but it's just so much easier. It's all about finding the easiest way to do things in the most efficient way. Right, this was the dodgy space bar on this one. Oh, yeah. That's perfect now. Yep, that is working absolutely perfectly. So that one is fixed. Put that in the fixed pile. Okay, this was the second one, which had just generally slightly dodgy keys all over. Somebody's gone to town with the tape on this one. I don't think that's necessary. I'm just going to remove that. And they've taped up. They must have just had lots of tape that day. Don't want to be dwelling too long on the shift lock solder points because there's very meltable plastic around there. All right, let's get all these screws out. I'm going to try the other bit. Let's try the smaller bit because I'm struggling a little bit to get the screwdriver into the screws because it fits so well. Yeah, this is much better. This will be quicker. Last two. Okay, gold again on this one. This has had some water ingress in here, so that needs to be looked at and cleaned up. But that's why some of the keys aren't working very well, because there is just generally, yeah, there's just plenty of opportunity for there to be a bad contact inside all of these. So let's get that cleaned up first. Okay, that's done. Solder all looks good, and this, first of all, I'm just going to give this a blast with some air and get rid of any of the foreign bodies in here. And then we go to town cleaning it up. So what I said earlier about the graphite pads, these pads in here, not being a bit more robust than people might have you believe, it might not be true of all of them. There might be, I mean, certainly in other computers, they might not have used these graphite-impregnated pieces of rubber, which have the graphite all the way through. So it's, you know, don't take that as gospel, because I might be wrong in with other machines and with other maybe Commodore 64s. There might be other revisions of these that use different types of pads. So just be careful, maybe give it a little test. Use a multimeter and test the resistance on the back of the pad, maybe. See if it's got graphite all the way through before you go sandpapering it. One thing I forgot to do on this. Right, let's see if that's made any difference at all. think this test program doesn't like you going too fast. Oh yeah, everything is working very nicely. It certainly doesn't like you pressing more than one key at a time. Perfect. Right, one more to do. So that's number 2 done. Let's get number 3 out. Right, this was the worst one, and I'm wondering if this one might have graphite pads in under here on this PCB, but we'll find out shortly once I got all of these pesky screws out. That's interesting. These screws are on top of the plastic. I wonder if this has been opened before. That's so good. Okay, these are gold contacts, but they've gone almost like a silvery colour. These look like they've been cleaned before. This one looks like it's been opened before and someone's cleaned it. And I don't know if you can see on here, there's looks like signs of abrasion. You can just see it in the shine there. There. See it? Just around here, where that's really been scrubbed. It looks like, yeah, whoever's cleaned this has left a bit of a mark on the board. So I'll do my best for this one, but I have got other boards, you know, spare boards. If this is no good, it's not the end of the world. But it looks like they've taken the gold off of there. It's down to like copper pad. All right, let's see what we can do. So I'm quite reluctant to be, you know, to clean it quite very aggressively because, you know, some damage has already been done to it, but there is actually a coating of something on it as well that needs to be removed. So that's why I'm doing this way. Well, you can see where I've been. Oh, yeah, they've abraded quite a lot across there. Well, the contact cleaner should bring things back a little bit or protect them from getting any worse. Okay, the final test. I always find that the spacebar and the F keys are the first ones to get corroded. So if the spacebar works, and that one works very well, and the F keys work, then I'm happy with the rest of it. The shift key on this one is just a little bit, I mean, this shift key is okay. Yeah, I need to take this apart again. And it's a good job I've got my WORKPRO screwdriver. Otherwise I'd be crying because I've got to take all these screws out again. But because I'm not insane, I've actually just put a few screws back this time. And I'll give it a test like this. That's better. I'm missing a screw. And we're done. So these three that were not faulty but needed some servicing are fixed, and the other ones are all good as well. Yep, let's get those off the bench and then we can talk about this screwdriver. I don't do product... Oh, there's that screw. Found it. I don't do product endorsements unless it's A, something I really think is useful for the hobby, and B, is any good. There's no point in me putting my name to something that I don't believe in. So if I do agree to do these sort of things, A, I need to be interested in it. And if you're seeing this video, it means that I like the product. If I didn't like the product, I wouldn't release the video. It would go back to the manufacturer and that would be the end of it. So that is basically an endorsement of that. I quite like this screwdriver. I do like this screwdriver. I don't like that label. That will be coming off, but WORKPRO have impressed me with this. It's a simple thing. It hasn't got a huge amount of grunt, but when you look at the biggest bits on here are like this Torx bit is the biggest Torx bit, and this is the biggest Phillips bit. No, that's not the biggest Phillips bit. This is the biggest Phillips bit on here. They're not very big. It's a precision screwdriver set, so you can't expect too much from it. But that being said, it's still in manual mode, which is when you're not pressing a button, it's in manual mode. That's locked. I can't turn that. That is properly locked until the motor releases it. Yeah, that is properly locked. So you can use it as a proper screwdriver in manual mode. It's just the convenience of being able to take out that many screws that quickly without my hand getting tired is something that's actually genuinely useful to me now. Also, having all of these bits on here to hand is just a big bonus, because my other brand of screwdriver that I use, it comes in a big box. I find I tend to not get that out unless I really, really need it. But if I've got this out, if I'm using this screwdriver, then I've got this out as well, then they're all to hand. They're all straight away, they're all there. That's a really big benefit to me. It's a really nice package. One thing I didn't mention is it's got a light on the end. So when I'm under studio lights here, so it's not going to show up very bright here, but it's going to help you in a pinch if you're inside a computer or something like that and you need to be able to see. It is only lit when you're screwdrivering. So when you're going back or forwards, that's the only time it's lit. It would be nice if there was another button just to turn it on for a few seconds so you could then locate the head of the screwdriver. But it's still, you could have a look with that on and then put it in. It's still going to help. All in all, a lovely package. Good value as well. Right now, this is $29.99 on Amazon, and there is a 15% voucher to apply. I'll leave an affiliate link in the description. If you do buy one of these, I'll get a little bit of a kickback. I'm impressed. Thank you, WORKPRO, for letting me have a look at this and sponsoring this video as well. Thank you for that. That was fun, and I've got all those keyboards fixed. Now I've got to find something to put in them, or in the cases, not the keyboards. The keyboards go in the cases. You know what I mean. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. I just had a horrible thought. Did you see like the colour drain from my face then? As I thought, I didn't press record, but I did.